Today on the show, Paul Bates, the founder of Simply Life Insurance. Insurance is something that everyone knows we need, but we don't have it. Confusing, not sure what it means, how do we get protected, and sometimes feel it's too expensive. Paul is working to change that and make a difference in people's lives. From my own experience, I can say that Paul cares about people not just as a client or a number, but fundamentally everyone is family to him. And Paul, welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome, Lawrence.
So we're just talking about off air. Like, this is pretty much your first time ever, in a camera, being on a podcast.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. We've got a few cameras looking at me, so I should get used to it in no time.
Get used to it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But awkward of when you're sitting having a conversation, right?
Someone's watching me.
There's a crowd in the corner, right? And they're cheering in there. But, Paul, insurance, not the most glamorous job. I don't think I've ever met a 6 or 8 year old that said they want to become an insurance broker when they grew up, right? Why insurance?
I'm same with you, Lawrence, mate. It's something I never expected to get into. So I think everyone's lived through something. The older you get, you actually learn stuff. You see what happens to family and things like that. But it was, I actually got come over to New Zealand for my first time for a good friend of mine. It was his wedding, his brother's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And so I basically come to New Zealand and kind of just like showed me around the place. I've never left farther than Europe, so anything longer than 8 hours I'd struggle to get a flight. But yeah, I come over to New Zealand and I don't know, I've always been not a city person, but there's something about Auckland I just like felt so comfortable, so good. We ended up having a little trip to Queenstown as well in winter, so that was amazing, the snow and everything. And then it was a close friend who actually offered me a job, it was weird. We was out having dinner and he just basically come out with it. He goes, I know how you are, I know your personality, I think you do great in insurance. And he offered me a job. And the exciting thing from my side was, it was like a light switch. It was like, I instantly said yes. And then 6 months later, got the visa sorted, come back to New Zealand, and it was like starting a whole new career path. So that's the start of my insurance journey.
What did you leave behind though?
Family, good friends. For me, it was something I always admired people when they travelled away younger and went on their OEs and went like travelling around, had a year out sabbaticals. But I think I was quite, maybe at the time, introverted. So I was like a bit nervous about doing anything like that. And then you kind of like get stuck in a routine in the UK. So it was like, I hate to say it, same pub, same Chinese takeaway on a Friday night.
Same order?
Yeah. It's the same order, same people. And it's weird because when you go back, you still see them same people sat in the same seats. But yeah, it's mainly my family. I've got my mum, my sister, my niece and nephew. And then I've got my cousins and stuff like that. And then I had a lot of close friends in the UK as well. But one thing I learned was very surprising, that the close friends who you was in touch with all the time kind of like drift apart. But it's the ones you didn't think to are the ones that make the effort and touch base with you. And then I'm in a situation where I'm able to work remotely, so it's really nice that I can go back to the UK, see family, spend time with them, and come back. So I'll try and get back once a year to see the family.
So you pretty much did your OE, but only waited 20 years, right?
Yeah, I did everything in reverse.
In reverse, right?
Yeah.
So you forgot that you had to do it when you're 18 and 19, and pretty much waited to your mid 30s to do your...
I was actually 39 when I decided to make the move.
I was being complimentary there, right? I was going mid 30s, right? So which is pretty much 20 years later than you should have done for your OE, right?
Yeah.
So, and has there been anything that insurance, before we get into that whole, so that's related closer to home, like, I know you said offered the role and everything else, but is there any been family stories or history around that's
so
insurance was a bit closer to you than most?
Oh, definitely 100%. So the first time was my uncle. So he was a very successful businessman, done very well. He had a construction firm, done really well. I remember he just one day I think he was maybe in his like mid-50s, maybe mid-50s to 57. And then he was just one of them things where he had no signs, no symptoms, just went to P blood. And it turned out he had bone marrow cancer. And he was maybe going through chemotherapy for maybe about a year and a half. But the lucky thing with my uncle was, obviously, he was a smart guy. He had a lot of properties, a lot of rental properties. So he did leave the family in a safe and stable situation. But it made me think about like, that's very far and few between people in that situation.
That's 1%, right?
Yeah. So it's a minimum amount. So it's like, and it was hard. And then obviously, seeing my cousin lose his dad at such a young age. I think my cousin was maybe 18. And we was always like a close family because me and my cousin used to do motocross. So we'd swap parents each weekend. So my uncle takes one weekend, but it wasn't my dad. It was my mum used to take me motocrossing. So yeah, that was the first thing. And then it brought it close to home with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad was a very inactive person. Mm-hmm. So like he was later on in life, luckily. So he got to enjoy as much as possible, as I say. But he was one of these people that just worked hard all his life. Proper old school guy, gentleman, worked hard all his life. And I remember when he got to 65 and he retired, he hated it. Mm-hmm. And he had to go back to work because that was his meeting the boys, just working and providing for the family. But then when he retired, then he actually started working for me as well because I had like a renovation business. So we worked together, which was amazing. So I got to spend as much time with my dad as possible. But then he got to a point where he started getting tired. It was weird. So it was like, something's not right here. Then he went for some investigations and he had something called myoplastic. So basically he would start getting tired, he'll have a blood transfusion, and it'd like perk him up for 2 weeks, and he'd have to go through this process once a month or every 3 weeks. But the doctors did say it will turn into leukemia. And within 6 months of that, he got diagnosed with leukemia. And then it was weird because UK is a bit different with the treatment because they obviously... everything's on the public health, which is quite good. And he started doing treatment in Hull. He went to the Castle Hill, which is one of the best in UK for cancer treatment near us. So he went through like quite invasive treatments for nearly 3 or 4 months of cancer treatment, but he had to stay in hospital that whole time. So he reflected like, if he did need to work or he did need to provide a family, he couldn't have done. There's no way of anything. And then obviously things were getting more expensive and everything. He did that treatment and then he seemed to come out of it, got into like remission. It was weird, he was in like no man's land. Yep. And then about 4 months later, he got rushed back into hospital, got severe pains in his leg and everything. And it turned out that his body was rejecting everything. And he actually had a burst appendix. But due to how much chemotherapy he had, how much treatment he had, his immune system was shot. There was absolutely nothing possible. So the sad thing is they couldn't operate because he would have died on the table. So all they could do was just pump my old man with antibiotics. And then he got the news. So he was told he had 4 weeks to live. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't imagine being told that. Mm-hmm. And all he wanted to do was get home. And then the good thing is in the UK as well, we had the Macmillan nurses that we was very lucky because the woman in the village, a close friend of ours, she was head in there. So she was amazing. They couldn't have done a better job for my dad. They got a bed in there for him, come look after him. And then, like I said, that's all he wanted to do was be home. Frustrating thing is...
That's right.
You can't physically do anything. Mm-hmm. That's a hard thing. So you can just spend time with him.
Talk through the memories.
Yeah.
Good times.
And do you know what? He had such a great sense of humour at the end. I remember he was there and it's like, because my dad was they called him, he's the dad that everyone wanted. Yeah. So like, the amount of people come visit him was phenomenal. Because he had a nickname as Biscuit Dave. Because when he used to come on jobs with me, he'd just be there with a cup of tea and just eat packs of biscuits. And
Boulders tea or boulder biscuit or whatever tea.
So I called him my customer relations manager because he went in and smoothed over the customers. I jokingly, I could have done the shittest job in the world, but because my dad just sold the shit out of me and just got on with him so well, I love my old dad, they wouldn't have cared. But we did do a good job because that's what I'm all about. But I always remember one story was like, there's one I can say, but one I'm not going to say. But one funny one I could say was like, we were just laid there with some friends round and they brought me a pack of biscuits for the joke. And then next thing, I think some Jehovah's Witnesses come, knocked on the door. My dad said, who's that? I said, Jehovah's Witnesses. He says, they're a bit late. I was like, Jesus, Dad. But that was it. That was how he was to the end. And he was like, we wanted to try and do so much for him. I was like, trying to... But he just said, I just want to be home.
Yeah.
So that was his big thing.
Mm. Just be with family, right? And
Yeah.
talk through and the memories and everything else. But I mean, if you think about it, that you guys wanted to do so much, but at the end of the day, all the memories is of those little moments at the end, right?
Yeah,
The funny little quirky moments. And that's the cool little stuff that you're going to always go, I remember that, and I remember that, and I remember that. And if your dad was a storyteller like my dad, I can imagine he still pulled a few out that you hadn't heard before.
Yeah. There was
right, and then there was a couple of that just comes out, right? And you go, oh my goodness, I haven't heard this one. I've heard that one 30 times, but I hadn't heard that one yet.
But the other thing I realised was like how incredible my mum was. She like stepped up. She was retired at the time, but she wanted to do everything for my dad, care for him and everything. So you can think it was only over a 5-week window, but my mum was exhausted.
Yeah.
She's like, no sleep. So like I'd come over and she wanted to do as much as she could, but it's like she couldn't do it. It was not feasibly possible. Like it's 24-hour care for my dad, just look after him. And that was the other thing that made me realise is like the support you need. So it's, if you've got a husband who's lost their income and your partner wants to spend as much time, so you just got to take yourself out of work as well. So it's like, it makes you realise what little things you don't think of that you need to set in place. And like I say, my mum was incredible. I remember one time I went round at like 2:00 in the morning because my dad like fell out of bed, so I lifted him back in. That was a funny story. We'll tell you that one later.
Hopefully it was closed. Hopefully it was closed.
It was closed. It was closed. But like my mum, I said to my mum, I said, look, Mum, go to bed, get an hour, get a couple of hours. And she went back to bed, and then I think I got there at 2, and I think like 9:30 she come down, so upset, worrying. I said, look, Mum, man, you needed that. You needed some respite just for yourself. And then luckily the Macmillan nurses were able to just give some nurses that come to sit with my dad at night time for 8 hours. So at least my mum was getting some sleep. Yeah. But yeah, that was the... But then that was the catalyst, because I don't think I'd have come to New Zealand if my dad was still alive, because we was that close. Mm-hmm. So...
It's a weird way, right? It's a weird way the world, through trauma, changes.
Yeah.
Right?
And he would have wanted me to do this, because I remember when I had a bit of a, as we do, a relationship breakup, and he thought I'd have gone to New Zealand then, because he knew the opportunity was there. But I think, again, I wasn't ready myself.
Look, I think it's a real interesting space when you go through trauma, irrespective of what your trauma is and the level of trauma. I'm not trying to say which one's more or less than anything else. Things happen, weird things happen in the world to you when there's trauma, and sometimes things come out of it if somehow you're paying attention.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I went through my trauma with my brain tumor and everything else, and went through to the darkest corners, and then something happened because I was slightly paying attention for it.
Yeah.
You know, you're coming over here, finding, sitting down with your mates, and he just saw something in you and offered you an opportunity, which then started that, the next journey. Because what's it been now? 6 or 7 years?
Maybe 7.5 years now.
7.5 years, and pretty much your new home, and you kick your ass and take your names, and and pretty much everything else. And it's just that really weird, interesting space of going, you're only here right now. We're only talking about this right now and everything else because of that one piece of trauma.
Yeah.
And it's so unique, and so many stories are like that. That there's that hardship that then brings out molding and shining on the other side. I mean, we'd always want to take it back. We always want to reverse and go back to it. But, your life's better now. Your old man would be proud. He'd be happy.
He's still looking after me. Put it that way. He's still looking after me to this day. So
he's still enjoying his biscuits, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, you just got to look at it in fondness and greatness of what he did. It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
So you came over here, got into the insurance, both that, got into that. It's an interesting field, insurance, right? Because it's, like I said, it's so confusing to a lot of people, especially in New Zealand, because you got public system, and you got private system, and when you get your private insurance, you can get access to stuff instantly, straight away, high value, but most days it's like confusing to people.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's the case, that insurance is so confusing to a lot of people?
I think because it's when you're coming from the UK and different countries, obviously certain things are mandatory. Mm-hmm. So it's like bred into you, so you understand it because you've got to do it for other things. And that's a big thing in New Zealand. It's one of the most uninsured countries in the world when it comes to insurance. But you don't need car insurance or you don't have to have medical insurance, but then you don't go deep into it because if you don't need it, you don't look into it, you don't understand it. And then I think sometimes the insurance brokers have sometimes got a bad rep because over the years of all the cold calling and things like that, and it puts people off. So that's one thing I'm trying to change in the industry, is I think it used to go stagnant in one way. Now I'm trying to change it. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible, hence Simply Life.
Yeah.
Because everyone's got time constraints, and it's also about not filling a client up with too much information, because if I come in and speak an hour on insurance, you'll fall asleep, you'll forget everything. So it's, for me, the key thing is with insurance, I'm free is the most important thing. We can have a chat, we can have a conversation, we can explore things, and I can help you, which is the most important thing. If you want to proceed, amazing. If you don't want to proceed, that's fine again, because there's no cost incurring. I just want to make sure I'm putting you in the best situation. And I try and my big thing is putting the clients first. If it creates more work for me, I do it. I know we all want to just go to one insurance company, just do everything with them. But if it suits them, tailoring it better to them, it's nice to spread things. And the main thing I'll say to clients when we're chatting and the first thing is I make sure they've got my number in the phone. And if I ring them up and they don't say, hello, Paul, I get upset. I have a joke with them. I have a little banter with them. But I say there's no such thing as a stupid question, because we always think of a question, but then we can put it off. You think, is it valid or right or anything like that, because you don't want to wait. But I say, look, you've got my number, ring me anytime. That's the most important thing. Any questions you have. And the process is quite simple, where it's basically done in 3 stages. We'll have a discussion, we'll have a chat, we'll do a fact find, so I can kind of like gauge where you're at. So the more information I can get from you, the better. And I always say to clients, be brutally honest, because if you're not honest, I can't help you. I want you to help you the best I can. So then we'll do that first. Then I would go out, do all the research, see all the different companies, see which one's offering the best deals. And then if they've got insurance, we always do what we call pre-applications first, because I want to find out if I can get you better. If I can't get you better, we're not wasting time. I'd recommend you keep what you've got. If I can get better after doing pre-applications, we'll go to the 3rd stage, which is a Zoom meeting. Fully transparent. We'll have the quote software shared between us. We'll go through the different products, different benefits. We'll explain what area it covers and what area it doesn't cover, because it'd be very surprised that people have got insurance saying, I'm covered for this, but they're not. Yeah. So the other thing is I'm implementing is, like, when we do a recommendation, if they chose less, we'll just put scenarios or areas where they are covered, just to be future proofing. So if they want to look at something, reassess it in an anniversary time, we can address it and make sure we've got everything perfect to them. But the main thing is they've got my number, they can ring me anytime.
I mean, yeah, it's an interesting space. Myself personally, so to anyone that's listening or watching at the moment, Paul is my broker. You have been for many years, through originally with a different company and now with Simply Life. But I got introduced to Paul where I had my own insurance, through a reputable bank. Went through a brain tumor and realized that my condition wasn't covered and my surgery wasn't covered. My surgery wasn't covered in certain areas, and literally almost bankrupted myself, right? I had to fight them, and they turned around and literally sent me a letter and say, this case is closed, don't contact us ever again. But yet my insurance policy said A and B gives me C. Yeah. I did A and B, and they found the fine print. And the frustrating part, paid insurance for over a decade. And they found the loophole, and then obviously that's where stumbled, came along yourself. And I mean, to anyone that's that's out there, what do we spend? 6 months? You spend in my kitchen? Literally for 6 months to really look at my new insurance, because obviously going through what I'd gone through to find new insurance, and as you said, working through everything. What can I get? What can't I get? What are the conditions? And working through it, 6 months, which cost me nothing. For me to sign up to my new, my new insurance, and now it's, what would that be, 2022, somewhere around there, maybe give or take. Been 4 years later, and he's still giving me my insurance and finding me my loopholes, and and cool thing that you do, who I've never seen anyone else, is the cool little hacks, right? The little quirky, you've spoken to me about cancer protection. There's a little hack about cancer
Yeah,
protection.
yeah.
There's a little hack about I'm going to get the naming wrong, where fall and break something, right?
Yeah, accidental injury.
Accidental injury, right? And there's all these little small, cheapish hacks that if you don't have the big products, you get quite a bit of protection for the small things. So talk me through, let's talk those two little things. Talk me through cancer protection and then talk me through accident.
We'll go accident injury if you want.
Accident, yeah.
Only because I've just had a claim done this morning.
On accident?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk through it.
So it worked out perfect. So the accident injury is, I understand in New Zealand that things are tight. Budget's tight. So look, in a perfect world, I'd love everyone to have income protection, medical, the full works, everything's covered for everything. But I understand that. I look at what the people are earning, what the thing, and I'm not going to put them under financial strain because what will happen is they'll get a policy, it'll be overwhelming, and they'll just cancel it. I'm a big believer in something's better than nothing. So getting like a basic thing, like you say with the hacks. So accidental injury, depending on which company, you're looking around maybe $2 to $4 a week. Which is less than a coffee, I always say.
What do I get for it?
You get for it, this is the good stuff. So it works on a 5K an amount, which is sum assured. But the way it works is it categorizes each accident. So different companies do different ways, but in general, they'll have 4 categories. So if you do any injury in category 1, you're going to get $10,000. There's no offsets with ACC. You get it paid out within 5 working days of a submission. So all you need is, say if you break your arm, you get 10 grand. Another company maybe 15, but it's different.
Only break it, or do I need surgery?
No, you don't need surgery. So
just
it's
break it.
A fractured arm. So there was at one point, there was fingers and toes. So you got 10K a broken finger or toe. And one client, not one of my clients, had 4 claims in 1 year. So he got 40 grand. Mr.
Savage behind the camera, how many broken fingers and toes and bones have you broken through your wrestling career, dude?
No, nothing broken, but
fair, man.
Makes me interested.
So break here.
Yeah, so let's just remove that because obviously it was
the fingers and toes.
The fingers and toes.
But broken arms.
Yeah,
legs.
broken arms. So things like the first one, I think category 1 would be fractured jaw, fractured collarbone, fractured wrist, fractured hands, fractured something else. Or ribs. Then you go to category 2, which will be 15K. But the big winner on the category 2 one is the general anaesthesia benefit. So if you have an accident that results in you needing general anaesthesia, you get 15K.
Instant.
Yeah, it's such a good thing.
I can prove to this. Wife fell over, dog, broke nose, went in for nose surgery. Obviously, the timing of the injury to the surgery was, weeks or months. We put in the claim, did the paperwork, and 5 days later, money was in my bank.
Yeah. The only thing with the general anaesthesia one is they put like a 2-week stand-down period because it's...
Or whatever the period was,
Yeah, because it's very rare, but because there's a chance you could pass away. So I suppose that's the get out of jail loophole.
Okay. So they wait 2 weeks. So in case you die within the 2 weeks, they don't have to pay out, right?
So that is their loophole. But that benefit is because you just need the anaesthesia report, and then it's normally 2 weeks post-surgery.
But fundamentally, accident and injury, cup of coffee a week, any breaks, majority of breaks, there's 5 to 15K payout if it's within the standard threshold. Break my arm, break my leg, ribs, nose. And that's where I think you've spoken about before that, for tradies and people working outside and pro wrestlers maybe, that's, they go and do a whole lot of injuries. This is a product for a cup of coffee a week.
100%. So for me, the big thing is, so I'm getting into a lot of community sports, football teams, things like that. So with the football thing, you get a lot of self-employed traders. And you're going to get, when you get older, we don't bounce as well. So
don't bounce at all, dude. I don't bounce, I roll.
So it does affect you. But then, so this is ideal for them. So it's like a low-cost product because if they're not on the tools, mainly traders, contractors, self-employed, little one-man, two-man bands. So if you're off work for 3-4 weeks, that's going to save you a lot. It's going to help you out.
So challenge the product. Can I have that as it's, can I come to you and go, okay, $5 a week, give me this product, or do I still need a base minimum product?
Yep. So now all the insurance companies, you've got to have a minimum of 150k of another benefit. So either life, trauma, or not income protection, but there'll be a value. I think it's like $1,500 a month income protection.
So how much? So to get my $5 a week hack, let's call it that. What is the minimum product roughly?
Yeah,
so it's still going to cost me a month as a person to be able to get that $5.
So the two products, the cheapest two on the market, will be life cover or TPD cover.
Yep.
So if they're young, well, you can split it as well. So you don't. So like if they're young, life cover is maybe not a high driver, so you could maybe just have 25k for a funeral cover costs like that. Then you can have 125k of TPD. So it's near enough the same. So that means if you
explain TPD.
So TPD is if you get permanently totally disabled,
but still alive.
It's still alive, yeah. So basically, if you're a tradie, you fell off scaffolding, had a bad back injury, and is in a wheelchair, you could never do your job again. It would pay out for that. So that would be your cheapest way of just getting a little policy together.
Roughly?
If they're like 20s to 30s, it'd be less than $10 a week.
So generally your entry level product costs you let's say $60 a month.
Yeah.
And then you can add your cup of coffee, broken bones on top of that.
Yeah.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah. So it would be like including accident injury. So it's a great policy. So I actually had a guy just recently who had a back injury. So he was lifting a chili bin out there, just bending over, bulging disc. So we went through ACC. Now, ACC is there's a few niggles with ACC at the minute because they're in a massive deficit at the minute. I think it's like they're going close to 15 billion. So the things that happen with ACCs, a lot of cases now can be rejected.
From ACC?
Yeah, from ACC. So this client, he had his claim rejected.
From ACC side?
Yeah, from ACC side. Luckily, he was still able to get on the public system and got the surgery done, but then his loss of income because ACC wasn't going to cover his 80% of his income. Yeah,
because you said before the products at the moment isn't offset by ACC, right? So irrespective of what ACC does, you still protect it at your full value, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you can claim both at the same time, which is great because the first thing you got to think about is you're already on a reduced income, you're 20% less, so you've got a shortfall there. So this just fills in that shortfall. Yeah. So because a lot of people, and I've been for years, I was as bad, I live paycheck to paycheck. So if you have something that hinders you, it knocks you back for a long time as well, trying to recatch up for the money you've lost and things like that.
Yeah, it's so true. I don't know what the value is in New Zealand, but I know I was just watching Caleb Hammer, which is an American accounting guy that sort of has a show and insults everyone because their financial literacy is horrible, but he's really smart, really good. And he's shown that I think it's between $300 and $400 in America. Most people can't cover $400 shortfall month to month. That's how close everyone's living to the edge. I can imagine New Zealand, we could be almost a very similar instance around that sort of space. So it's so true of having just that protection of, a couple of grand, $5 grand, 10 grand, the difference it would make. So
because he was going to be off work so he knows he's got to go back to work because he's not got no income. So he knows he's got to get back sooner than later. Now, the problem with that is you're hindering your recovery as well, which is not good. So you can have longer effects if you go back too soon, cause a problem. But luckily, he had the accident injury on cover, and he got paid out $15,000 for the general anesthesia benefit.
It's amazing.
Yeah. But the other thing is, I've been thinking about this a lot. I always focus on traders because they're a massive for this market. Workforce, which they need this. I call it sometimes I call it the no-brainer insurance, but they really do need it. But it's also for white-collar workers. Yeah. Because what happens is you break your leg or do something, you're not claiming anything because your company gets you working remotely. So you're hindered, your production's down low. So again, this is where this kicks in again. So it's not just a product to suit traders. It's a product for all.
It's a bonus for some people.
It's
a bonus for some people,
and
right?
it just takes that inconvenience. Because I know someone, he was a business broker selling businesses and everything, and he broke his right wrist, fell over slipped on the floor, broke his wrist. But he said he was trying to type with his left hand. It slowed all his production down. He wasn't at full capacity, so it was maybe at like 60%. So he's got a 40% loss there as well. So it's just, I think everyone should have it on them, an accident injury.
Yeah.
I think I've got 2 policies. I've got one with one company and one with another company.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big.
Yeah, no, totally. I like I said, my family's used it, and it's been amazing. And it's the one thing that we will always have. The cup of coffee will always be on our plan. As I said earlier, we're talking about the cancer being so big in New Zealand. I think we've spoken about it historically, and you've spoken about it on some of your content on social media about only 3 out of 7 people. Sorry, 3 out of 10 people actually have some form of cancer protection or cancer care in New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
And it's such a big player, unfortunately, in the open world we live in, that it's sort of gets to a point that a high percentage of people will have cancer at some stage in their life.
Yeah, yeah.
What is there a great product for that specifically?
Yeah. Well, the great thing was I actually met an oncologist nurse through getting new clients. And this is where this all stemmed from, all this information, because we was talking through the insurance, we're getting to find out what she did. And she's present there when the specialist, the oncologist, gives the diagnosis to the clients. And she said it's a shit show. She says the worst. She hates that part of the job because it's giving everyone just bad news.
Yep.
And that's where she said only 3 out of 10 people, because the first thing the oncologist would say is, explain the condition, what you've got, and then the first thing I'll say is, do you have access to non-pharmac treatment? So non-pharmac, which a lot of people may or may not know, is just the non-subsidized chemotherapy, but it's the good stuff.
Yeah.
It's the rocket fuel stuff that will help with your treatment and recovery. And that's the sad thing is, and now that I've heard a few stories on speaking to clients, like the cost of it.
Yeah.
So one guy I know, he's got a very rare thyroid cancer. Now, with this rare thyroid cancer, he will never be in remission. So he will always be constantly needed treatment. I think he said, obviously it goes around the lymph nodes. He has to have his lymph nodes biopsies done every 2 years just to check there's no spread or anything like that. But luckily he did have private medical with that funding on it. And now his permanent medication for life is $20,000 a month.
But it's covered.
Damn. But he said if he didn't have that insurance, he won't be in his kitchen talking to me at a barbecue. So
because I mean, we can service 20K a month, right?
No one can. Yeah. And like the oncologist, that oncologist nurse said, she says, they ask them if they have access to it, and then the first thing people are thinking about is, if they haven't, is GoFundMe pages, having to liquidate assets, sell the homes, and things like that.
But it's assuming they can have access to it,
right?
Yeah. I mean, we're assuming have a home to sell or have it. I mean, you're talking about a normal husband, wife person, that's just living their own separate life. That doesn't have a big social circle. I mean, they can't go on. I mean, everyone goes, oh, do a GoFundMe. Yeah, there's a million of them. And only maybe 5 of them get the money and the rest of them don't.
And that's what I say to people. You can't put the risk in other people's hands. If you can protect it and you can prevent something, it's so important. And there's ways of getting this cheap as well. There's 2 really good hacks. Now there's one company that just does cancer care medical. So if you haven't got any medical, I'd say worst case scenario, that's a great backstop because it's a quarter of the cost. So say if a 40-year-old guy, his medicals, maybe with specialist tests, about $45 a week, this would be like $15 a week. It's only for cancer. That's the most thing I always say to people. You're not covered for anything else. It's only cancer.
But cancer will bankrupt you in a second, dude.
Yeah. And that's the one that's a big hitter. Yeah. So the good thing in New Zealand, you've got ACC covers accidents if they pay you, which we've come across. Your emergency care's done. So if you needed like emergency appendicitis, that'll be done on the public system. You don't mind waiting for things. I've heard some horror stories, though, like knee replacements. People have been on the waiting list for like 2.5 years. Yeah. And it depends how bad it's at.
Because it's a priority system, right?
Yeah. So, and then the other extreme is cancer. So cover that. That's basic. Just cover that because it's got 0 excess and it's got unlimited surgery costs. I think $15,000 towards testing investigations, and then the English in me is going to say the Brucey bonus is the non-pharmac drug treatment. You get up to $500,000 per year, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Listening to all the stories and and all the conversations of the clients, you're talking to a lot of people up front about their worst nightmares.
Yeah.
Either thinking about it or currently going through it. Like, how do you as a broker and as a human being sit there? You sat down in my kitchen
Yeah.
when I said, look, I almost got bankrupt myself. I couldn't pay my own bills and all the rest of the shit because of my insurance company.
Yeah.
You've sat there with other clients that have same situation, they don't know where to go. They're going to get the diagnosis. How do you work through that?
Yeah, you kind of like, it's a morbid conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It is a tough one. So I like to look at it in both ways. So whether you get doom and gloom about, but I'll put a bit of humor in there as well.
Yeah.
Because you've got to lighten the mood, but then you've got to make them aware of like worst case scenario. So if you go for worst case scenario, then you can build small from there to cover the worst case scenario. But then if they're in a position where we can build better, we can do. But I think I've got like a little thing. My old man, everyone loved him. So it's like being open, honest.
Yeah.
And a good thing in New Zealand, you guys have got a good bullshit radar. So it's like for me, I always say if you take shortcuts, you get caught out.
Yeah, totally.
It goes wrong. So do it right, do it properly, and then you've got no issues. And that's why I put like extra steps in to make sure like non-disclosures are all, everyone's fully aware of everything. Everything's transparent because if you cover something or if you're not, because then you don't ring me up disheartened when you don't get a thing. And then what happens is people cancel because they think, what's the point of having insurance? It doesn't pay out. And then they get the bad stigma about the insurance companies don't want to pay out. Yeah. But the thing is they do. When you look at some of the statistics, like Partners Life was over 900 million paid out in 24 to 25. And I think they paid out, it was very high. I think it was 97% of claims. Yeah. And it's phenomenal numbers when you think about it. And then when you go deeper and you dive into it, you see what, like I say, the cancer's a big costing one.
Yeah, I think from the content that you did, it was over 95% of Partners Life's claims last year was fully paid out. Yeah. And obviously 5% is there with conditions. But then, it was over almost 60% of that was specifically to cancer, right?
Yeah. And the other big thing was like when you start seeing the trends and you can see things, it was the income protection, 70% of income protection claims for accidents. Yeah. So I was like,
where's the accident protection?
Yeah. It's like, get it in there. Then it just answered the question. 70%, I think it was male dominated as well. But like I say, it just shows like traders and stuff. So that just shows how valuable that little cost cover can be to people. And like when I got the policies set up for people, and I've had so many claims. But like a 60-year-old accountant fell over and broke his wedding ring finger. Then I always remember this one. There's a young lad. We set a company policy up for a tree fellas in New Plymouth. So the employee put a cover on all the guys. And we got him accident injury, and I think he was playing touch rugby at the weekend, and he broke both his little fingers. And
so he's doing trees and climbing trees and chainsaws, and then breaks it somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. It's only dangerous part. You need accident injury for your job, and he does it on his spare time. But I rung him up and I said, "Oh, look, great news. Claims have been, but you're going to get $20,000." Yeah. And 24-year-old getting $20,000.
I don't care what age. Give me 20 grand, right?
And then you could hear all the lads in the background because he told them all. They're like, what? And they're all like, break my finger. I want a new car. I was like,
don't say that out loud.
Yeah. But like I say, it's like a 60-year-old guy. Then it was a 25-year-old guy. Then I had a lady playing football, did a meniscus knee tear. And then I remember I come back off holiday, back for you, not holiday, I call it holiday, but he's going back home to see family. But when I got back to New Zealand, there was two lovely ladies who live on my street. Both of them broke the wrist that weekend. And I was like, it can happen to anyone. Yeah. And I just think statistically, everyone breaks 2 bones in the body. Obviously, people do a lot more accident prone. But it's just a great policy.
Oh, totally. Love it. One more thing I wanted to throw out there that I've seen you spoken about before is historical claims. You've had a very successful story about historical claims with one of your clients, have you not?
Yeah, that was one of my. That was very early on in my career. That was maybe a year and a half into being into the industry.
Talk us through that.
So obviously canvassing for clients, got referred on to this lovely couple in Mount Eden. And yeah, really good. So we sat down, got chatting, and then he was quite high up. So it's the same bank we can't mention.
Yeah, we won't mention the bank.
So he worked for a bank. He was quite high up. So they had a great work scheme that he actually topped up as well.
Yep.
So normally with a work scheme, you get 3 times your salary as life insurance. You get 75% of your income. It's always on like a 3-month stand down period, and then a 2-year payment period. And then he had trauma cover. They normally just give like 10,000, but then you can pay extra to top it up. So I think he had just short of 300,000, maybe 290. So we went round. Beautiful house, big house, but with a big mortgage. He had 3 young children between the ages of maybe 4 and 7. So we just got chatting. He goes, before we start, I'll just let you know I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And he was only, I'd say 41. Yeah, 41 at the time. Because I saw him like 18 months. This was 18 months later. So yeah, he said I had prostate cancer 18 months ago. I was like,
yeah.
So then I got his policy out and was just chatting to him about his old policy. And I said, look, we won't be able to change it because, look, you've been diagnosed with cancer, so plus it's a work scheme. So, but I'll have a look at it to see what we can do. But something, when he told me what stage it was at, I think it was stage 3, I was like, this is a claimable event. And yeah, so I want to get it right, so I get the time right. Yeah, so I saw him 18 months after he'd been diagnosed, had a treatment. Luckily, a young guy, it was remote prostatectomy was done, successful, no chemo or anything like that needed, which is amazing. It's just a bit of physio afterwards and everything like that. I think he was off work for about 4 weeks, but he wasn't. His income protection didn't cover him because he had a stand-down period, so we got nothing from that. Then he rung the bank up who he worked for, who had the insurance for him. They basically didn't do anything. They just says, oh, no, it's not a claimable event. And then they put an exclusion on his policy for future.
He couldn't claim on it.
So he couldn't claim on it. So then I said to him, when I got his policy out, I said, can you get your policy worded out? And I checked it. And I said, you do know you have got a potential claim here.
When you mean policy wording, you mean your contract. Your policy contract, right? Yeah.
Because when he was staying there, and I knew when you get stage 3, that's a guaranteed payout. And I know some of these trauma covers are watered down, but when you're at stage 3, if you're hitting stage 2 and above, it's near enough claimable. Anyway, so I said, look, so the first thing I did was I did a change of broker form, so give access so I can access his file and everything. So I got all his information, all his notes and everything. And then I read his policy wording, and I've always been careful because not to say you've got a claim because I can't get it wrong. There's always there could have been non-disclosure, there could have been something. So I just said to him, look, sign this form, let me take over control of this and see what I can do. And then so we got control of it, and I put a historical claim in for him, and I got him $290,000 paid out straight away. But the thing that frustrated me was I couldn't imagine being 41, $1 million plus mortgage, 3 kids. He should have had that money at the right time for him, because imagine the stress. Yeah. So
same fucking bank, bro.
Yeah.
Same bank.
Yeah, it's the same bank. So. But and it was like, because the main thing is with recovery, you don't want added stress because stress slows down recovery. So I couldn't imagine being told, look, you've got stage 3 cancer. Yeah. You've got, I think it's like $1.2 million mortgage. You've got 3 beautiful kids. What will go through his mind? Yeah. Thank God everything went well. Surgery went well. He got a recovery, and he got back to work within 5 or 6 weeks. But he got nothing. So I couldn't imagine the stress. And and it was
good end of the story.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was so nice going around to him and just saying, look, and he shook my hand and he says, honestly, it was amazing.
He didn't give you a tip afterwards, right? No, it's like 10%, it's 30 grand.
Well, it was weird because I was so excited for him. I even took a bottle of champagne round for him.
He bought you a bottle of champagne.
Yeah, I know. He goes, oh, maybe I should have bought you that. Because look, I'm not bothered. I said, look, the fact is we've got it and we've helped you out. And for me, it's a great war story. It's something great, and it made me feel so good for weeks. I was so happy about it.
And just to make it clear as well, again, it cost him nothing. like
The review, yeah.
cost him nothing from the review. You got no kickbacks from it.
Nothing.
You got nothing out of it. So there's no, I'm doing this because I can get a bonus or commission or anything else. That whole journey, and that's just one thing I'm trying to make clear, because a lot of people have this sort of confusion in the insurance broker space. There's no benefit other than you doing the right thing.
Yeah.
For that guy in that situation, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah. It happened again as well. Not a historical claim, but like I met a guy that was a friend of a friend, and he was 41 as well. He got stage 4 lymphoma cancer. And his broker, well, again, we can't mention any names because I was getting in trouble. But I remember he told me he didn't have a number for his broker. He didn't know who to ring, what to do. And he was in hospital, so he went there because he had a problem with his back. He had to have an MRI, and because of the cancer, he had an open fracture on his back. And he'd been going to osteos and things, said he'd something not right here. So they admitted him to hospital straight away. And they actually said, you potentially got 4 weeks to live.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it was mental. And then he's basically didn't know who to ring. He was in a state of shock, and all he had was an old email. So he sent an email to his broker. He got a reply from the claims team a week later.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I was like, you've got to have my number in your phone. So even if I just do the husbands, I say, if you've got a partner or a wife or a girlfriend or a mistress, just to make sure they've got my number, because if something happens to you, they can contact me. That's the most important thing. At least then we can start something going in the background, get everything processed and things like that. But yeah, I actually helped him out, and I actually got some small claims for him that these other brokers didn't find, because he had private medical, but for some reason he ended up going through the public because of the intensity of it, I think. I'm not sure really. But he had a hospital benefit allowance. So every night in hospital, he got $300. So there was another $3,000 that they didn't claim for him. So I got that. So I ended up taking over his insurance, helping him with his income protection claims. And again, I got nothing from it. But the good news is, I remember when we was going through a claims with him, that the insurance company was pushing back, saying he's got to do occupational job assessment. Yeah. I was like, this guy's going through chemotherapy. He's got a weakened immune system. You want to send him, he's got an open fracture on his back. Yeah. You want to send him to his factory to do a workplace assessment. I was like, is this thing going to happen? I was like, and it was funny, the occupational therapist who was going to do the assessment, she loved how, like, because obviously I work for the insurance companies, but I work for the clients. I work for both. So I want to make sure the best outcomes for the clients. So I was
pushing it.
I was pushing hard. I was pushing hard, very hard, very hard. And we got it. And the thing is, you do the right thing. The occupational therapist said, Paul, I love how you want to be right for the clients, do the best for them. So the knock-on effect was I got a deal from her, and she's a client now. So it pays back. You do right, do things properly, help people, and it comes back. So I didn't do it for that. It's just I did it because, again, it was a good experience for me. It's the first time I've had a battle with the insurance company, and I enjoyed it, actually. It's quite good. Like, they were set ready for me. You know, they were militant ready for me. And I was like, what are we getting angry for? We just want to get the best outcome. So, yeah, we got that, and that was a really good positive result. And then he's ended up, like most of my clients, come good friends. Yeah. So, yeah, it was, and I got the amazing news that he officially, 2 years later, is in full remission.
Nice.
And he just thanked me for all the work I've done. And I said, look, mate, I said, you've done the hard work. I said, you've been put through the ringer. I said, I couldn't imagine being given that news. And then 2 years later, you're here now, mate, having dinner with me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Paul, as we sort of get into the end of today, to anyone that's listening or watching at the moment, is anything you want to leave them with? And some last thought?
Good question, mate. You've got me here. I always say just... A lot of people forget what they've got. I heard I don't want to ramble on, but I heard a story where a guy was in hospital. He didn't realise he had a heart attack. So when we was changing his insurance over, got his note, said, you can't get insurance. He had a heart attack a year ago. And he goes, he didn't even realise he had a heart attack. So he got an historical claim as well. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, if you're unsure of something, an insurance broker's free. So I say, always have a chat to them. Find the right one that suits you, because at the end of the day, in life, some people don't gel together, and that's life. But as long as you gel with them, and as long as they're doing the right thing for you, and they're always in touch with you, is the best thing.
Yeah.
And then it's something's better than nothing. We never know what's around the corner. My insurance premium bills are through the roof, but just because I'm a big believer, I just don't want any stress or anything like that. So yes, chat to a broker. We're not bad.
Yeah.
There's some good ones.
Not
out
all,
there.
not all bad.
Not all bad. There is genuine ones like me that I will put the client first.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. The sad thing, it's a commission-based business, so
Perception.
yeah, some people can do other, but just find that nice one. That's someone you get on with and you can open with. You've got to be open with them because we need to, the more information I get from you, the better job I can do to get you looked after. But yeah, just give me a call.
I want to give you one more line before we finish. And I know it's something you've spoken about before and you've caught out. We're going to do a subtle. You're going to do a subtle challenge because I've seen you before. About I'm not going to mention who, but these people that come online and run ads and say you can get medical for like $10 a week.
Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Yeah. I think it's wrong because I know it's a sales pitch. You're trying to pull people in, but then you're not being transparent from the start.
Yep.
That's a sad thing. And then a lot of these paid adverts is done by affiliated marketing where they're getting leads in to sell to insurance brokers. So you're getting passed through multiple hands. So this is where you need to find a good broker.
Yeah.
That's the most key thing. Just find a genuine, good, honest broker that will work for you.
Sounds amazing, Paul. Anyone's interested, where can they find you?
Yes, so I hate it. I'm on Instagram. Don't judge my videos, guys. But no, so if you want to get in touch, you go to my website, simplylife.nz. There's a link at the bottom where it says have a coffee. So you just click on the link. There's seven non-invasive questions, multiple choice, and you just put your name and contact number in there. And then I will give you a call as soon as I get your details through. But then, like I say, keep it simple and no pressure.
It's amazing, Paul.
No, thank you
Thanks
so
so much, mate. And yeah, to anyone that's listened or watched what Paul has to say, I'm a client. I have been for many years. I've had multiple claims across my family. Multiple of the products we spoke about today I use personally, so I can talk about from the experience. But truthful in the sense of I've been through the experience of having insurance with a large corporate, which shall not be mentioned, and not being paid out because they don't care about the end person. They just a clip of a ticket. Simply Life, Paul, our phone, he answers. It's him, one other person in the company, and he cares. I'm pretty much family, and I'm not a number. So I'm just saying out there. And this is something that's really important. I've gone through major trauma through myself, through brain tumor, and my family, and all the rest of it. And that protection is critical. So I'm a raving fan from what you do, and it's not just that I know you. I'm a raving fan for what you stand for. You know that your clients are first. They're almost like family. You're looking after them before anything else, and that's what's really, really important in the market we live in today, right? So Paul, thanks so much, and to everyone else out there, if you need insurance broker, just give Paul a call.